Good afternoon.
When last we saw you, you were hurting a little bit. Are you okay now?
I'm all good now. Yeah.
What kind of happened towards the tail end of the season?
Hurt my knee one of the last plays of the game versus the Patriots, unfortunately. But I'm all good now.
What was it like for you towards the tail end of the season? Because up until that point, you haven't missed a snap.
Yeah, I haven't had that issue ever. You know, I haven't missed a game, high school, college, or ever up to that point. But you know, it's part of the game. It happens. But unfortunately, you know, I was kind of hoping I'd go my whole career without having to deal with that. You know.
Harris, you good to go now with the off-season workouts and all that stuff?
I'm good to go, completely.
What's it like being back in the building now? You know, the guys coming in.
Oh, I'm hype. You know, I'm hype. I think this offseason for me, especially with me being hurt, felt longer than usual, you know, than it should be. So just having that itch to get back to work, to be back in the building with the guys, I'm very excited.
Your first year, obviously, as a rookie, that first offseason, and last year you were making the switch from right to left. So this offseason now staying on the left, what is that going to look like for you in terms of what you're personally going to be focused on? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, to be the same position 2 years in a row, I've not done that since high school. So I'm excited for that. I think, you know, I'm trying to show the world that it's time for me to make the jump to be the best version of myself. And I believe the best version of myself is one of the best tackles in the game, but now it's time to show it. So to be back in a building, to work not only on myself individually, but as a leader on a team, that's something I'm also trying to work forward to, not just trying to show it through my actions, but through trying to talk to rally the team and stuff like that. It's part of my next step as well. But I'm definitely excited to be on the same side, you know, 2 years.
What did you spend the offseason, or the first 4 months of the offseason, working on personally?
Yeah, honestly, I love to take time to just work on very, like the base things, like my stance. Just the stance in my start and how I hold my hands. I think that's huge. You know, eventually I'll start to have, like, time where I start to simulate a pass rush. But, again, I feel like it's the stance, it's how you hold your hands, and it's just, like, the balance that you have in your spot. I think that's huge, especially since I don't have a coach around me until once I got back to Arizona and I started to work not too far from here with Charles Bentley and his group, which they're all phenomenal. Until then, when I was in Miami and I was by myself, I'm not trying to create any bad technique that nobody's like, hey, make sure you close your hip. Hey, make sure you work on this. I'm trying to work on the stuff I know I can feel and coach. So by the time I knew I got back to Arizona to start that work, the platform was the same, you know.
Harris, assuming it's a good turnout in there now for this, what's it like to be around your teammates and get in the gym with those guys?
Oh, yeah, it's hype. I mean, I think the first time in the weight room with them was fun. You know, just being able to get back into how we usually like to talk to each other, especially with the O-line, was fun, you know.
Speaking of that balance, how do you balance, or how did you balance kind of resting your body, kind of resting your mental side, your brain, and then also training and trying to keep in shape? Like, what was that balance like for last year?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I really don't need a balance as much just because I'm so young. You know, I'm sure if you talk to Beach, he's going to be, you know, he's going to have the set boom, 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 you know, because he's been doing it for so long, since I was like in elementary school. You know what I mean? The beginning of time. So, so for myself, you know, I feel like I'm just so young in the game. I feel like I don't need it. It's just a part of my routine. So even in the off season, when I was in Miami, I was doing my rehab, but then I was also doing my training. And then when I went out the country, I was still continuing to do my footwork, do my drills, just because that's my job and that's what pays the bills. So I'm going to keep getting my stance and feeling my balance and being able to make sure I'm holding my hands how I want, have my eyes where I want, just because I feel like with offensive line, it's so simple. Like, I don't have to work on a catch that's behind my back or something like that. It's just my stance and my start. And I feel like it's so simple. You have to work it year round. It's like speaking. It's like when you start to talk in another language. You know, stay consistent.
Do you feel like you're taking a larger leadership role going into year 3?
Yes, for sure. I feel that way.
What's that look like to you?
Again, I think just being able to talk more with the team. I've always been the guy that's like, okay, as a team, just start to like. I kind of like to focus on the offensive line. You know, I like to talk just in my room specifically, but in regards to the whole team, I'm more like the yeller. Prefer the game out to yell and scream and push people and point in your face and grab your helmet. I'm not usually the guy that's like, guys, team, this is what we got to do. I don't lay out the details like, you know, like a head coach can or something. I'm like, we got to do this, and you know what I mean? Or they have to mute the audio. That's usually when I come in. I'm like the hype guy. So I think just trying to work on being able to communicate not only on the hype side, but trying to communicate team goals, team stuff like that. I think that's a step that I'll have to take, the calmer version of communicating.
Does someone like Calais Campbell, is that someone you go to for something like that, who has been a leader every stop of his career now?
Yeah, I mean, it's my first day. I mean, I talked to him a little bit. I said hi, but you know, I didn't have a chance to talk to him about that kind of stuff. But again, I think he adds that within a locker room, and I think that is a guy I can start to lean on about how are ways that I'm able to do it and to be myself, because how I communicate myself, and I love to be in your face, to be angry, to be yelling at you. That's the best way for me to communicate that, because that's kind of how I came up. But I think Calais kind of like Beach, them like they can do both. You know, they have the professional side and they have the in-your-face side. But I think being able to do that, to learn from somebody like him, I think that adds a lot of value.
With the change in offensive line coach, obviously you have a history there, but is it, I mean, you're in the league for a couple of years and you have it one way, and now it's going to switch at least a little bit. Like, what is that transition going to be like?
It's awesome. I feel like it's not much of a transition as much as like it's kind of already in my mind already. So it feels fun to be able to go right back into what I feel like got me into the NFL. You know, so the communication, the techniques, the stuff, I feel like we communicate on the same page a lot. So I feel like I'm just starting to revert back to the training that developed me to get to this point. But now I've added the tools and stuff and the experience, the physical experience of playing my first 2 years already in the league before he got here. But now being able to pare that down and being able to see the tape and be like, this is the best way to communicate to him. These are the best kind of drills and techniques to communicate to him, to put him back in that consistent role the last time that we were teamed up together, you know.
How much have you guys been in touch throughout, since you got hired?
Yeah, I started to call him when he got hired, and I feel like I call him maybe like once a week. But for the most part, I've known him since high school. He recruited me to UCLA, so I'll call, just ask about the kids and his family. But it's kind of hard because it's not hard to communicate, but it's kind of hard to meet how I kind of like wanted to meet, because I'm so used to, like, at least I wish we were allowed to meet on a field. Hey, let's get started, because I love the drill work. Hey, let's get started. Obviously, that'd be a huge fine. I don't think I'd have to pay. I think the Cardinals have to pay it. But then, you know, they look at me a certain kind of way. So, so obviously, you know, we're not doing that. But, you know, I had him over at the house to eat. You know, me and my girl made some food for him at the house. I don't think that's a violation. I don't know if hopefully we don't get fined for that. But I've known him since forever. But yeah.
So you're a guy that likes to look at the draft and figure out where people are going?
Not really. I feel like the last draft I really kind of analyzed was last year, because I was trying to get Marvin in the building. I was trying to make sure the chips aligned for Marvin. But now that we have him, I'm good. You know, so, but again, I would love to see all my guys across all the schools that I've known through my own process there to make it, you know, to the teams that I feel like best suit them. But obviously, I'm kind of cheering for some of my guys to come here, especially on that Ohio State line. I'd love to see some of those guys in the room. Obviously, not because I played with them, but because they're familiar with how we taught with Fry. Sorry. You know?
Harris, is there a certain mental preparedness you have to have, knowing this is day one of the next 8 to 9 weeks working out here?
I feel like the best thing is just to take it just a one day at a time. You know, I always tell myself on a drive in, I like to pray to say, like, you know, God, just allow me to work for you today to win today, you know, to be the best version of myself today, because that's all I can control, you know? And I feel like the season goes by faster and the off season goes by a lot faster when your mentality is just a one day at a time. You know, that's my goal.
Outside of Justin, you guys are kind of running it back offensively. What kind of edge do you guys get from that continuity?
Yeah, I think, again, all the kind of communication that I've always had with whoever I'm on the line with, as far as who's my guard with Evan Brown this past year, I've kind of created that conversation of like, hey, I think this is the best way to take it on, and then we'll see if it matches up with the coaching and the scheme to allow it. We never want to go against the coaching, but it's always ideas that we brought up. So the second that, you know, I talked to Coach Fry, I was like, hey, I would love if we have a chance to get back to this, this, and this. And he's like, yeah, I'm already on that. Where all that same stuff is going to come back. Because, again, I kind of know the best kind of stuff that always, like, worked for me. But at the same time, you know, in the NFL, my coach is telling me to do it backwards. I'm like, in my mind, I like to listen to instructions. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to try it. I'm not going to try to go against the wave. So I feel like it's the best kind of thing for me in terms of the stuff that I love to do the most is the stuff that he's going to preach and teach. So just personally, I'm hype. You know, just speaking for myself, you know, I'm hype because I already know everything he's talking about and I love it. And I feel like I know that as soon as I get back into that groove, transition is going to be so easy, you know.
How would you describe expectations for Marvin year two?
I do. I still think he's the best receiver in the league. I still thought he was last year. I know the world may try to say other things or see other things, but I feel like I've seen him behind closed doors for years. So I'm excited to see, for the whole world, to see what I already know, you know.
How would you describe Justin's coaching methods or style?
He loves to talk about hands, feet, the spot, the technique. Again, I feel like that's why he kind of helped me get here in the first place, is because there might be a play where I take the defensive end, I throw him into the sideline, and I jump on him, and I stand up, I'm flexing, I'm hype, and he'll rewind the tape, and he will not care. And he's like, let's talk about your second step. And I'm blown away. I'm like, this dude's tripping. It's that UCLA stuff, that soft West Coast. In my mind, I'm mad. I'm mad. I'm like, it's a big. I'm like, man, like, it like stuff like that did not matter. Your second step hands did not matter if your dude was throwing out the club. It was a good day, and you were hyped to watch that play. But he wouldn't even fast forward to that part. He'd skip. Oh, the second step bad. Let's talk about this and skip to the next play. I can't even watch my finish. So in my mind, I'm like, if I want to watch the finish in the room, my feet got to be right, hands got to be right. But I think that's what it takes to be a pro. You know, it's not about just trying to just necessarily like what the result is, but the whole process being clean. He cares about the entire process being clean. So that's what I love about him.
Isn't it feel surreal thinking you're heading into your third year in the NFL?
It goes by fast. It does. It does. A lot faster than college, for sure, and for sure high school felt like 8 years. But yeah, no, it goes by quick. It goes by quick.
How do you find your role in the offensive line in terms of, from leadership perspective, talking to everyone when there's so many older guys and vets already in that room?
Again, I think stuff like that, you don't try to force it, especially in an offensive line room where for some reason, even with the rookies you had last year, I'm still the youngest guy in the room for some reason. So we'll see what happens this year. But I think it just happens, you know, on its own. You know, I think stuff like that, like on the field, like for some reason, for me naturally, I talk a lot more on game days. You know, like when I'm outside for practice, I don't usually talk. I usually only talk on my guard. Outside of that, I don't talk. But again, I feel like I'm more of a O-line communicator, across the board offense communicator, specifically on Sundays. I've just kind of always been that way. But I think trying to step out of my comfort zone to be in meetings and to do more talking, to be on the practice field and I'm starting to do a lot more talking. Like I'll talk when we're doing individual drills. Hey, Christian, this. Hey, Beach, how do you see this? But as soon as we get the team, I put my mic on mute. I'm just playing. So maybe just stuff like that to just be an all-around consistent person that's talking, encouraging. But I think all that starts with just the consistency on the field, I feel like, speaks a whole lot louder first. So it's trying to work on both,
With how outspoken you are, is that hard to put yourself on mute?
No. I usually don't. Even Ohio State, like I barely talk. That's why me and Marv were cool, because Marv doesn't really talk. I don't really talk. We just both make plays and just head nod and be like, so I'm talking about, But now, especially as a left tackle in the NFL, you have to talk a lot more, So I think people this year are going to start to look to me more to be able to do that for the team. To not just talk when it's time to yell or grab my face mask, say it's time to punch a hole through somebody, you know what I mean? I'm starting to shake and strah. That's cool, but like sometimes you just need that talk on a Wednesday in a facility, So just stuff like that.
Heading into your third season with this offense, how much is that familiarity helping you free you up to just play and work on your technique?
Yeah, since I already know the offense, there might be some things that change, but I feel like I know the language that we already have in the concepts. It just allows me to focus, again, on the simple things like my stance, how I get out my stance, my eyes, just stuff like that. I get to hone in on, which is fun.
Paris, thank you.
Thanks, Paris.
Appreciate you guys.
So were you on vacation working on your stand?
Yeah.
What is that? Like, what is it's such a, I feel such a dumbass now. What is that? What is that match after, like, you're dropping and working on your stand? I'm always ready. Like, what is that? What does that mean? Like, what are you actually physically doing?
What's up, guys?
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing really good. How's everybody doing in here? Good?
Excited to get this workout program started for the next 8-9 weeks?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. I'm excited. It feels like it's been a long time, so it was good to see everybody in the building. Just being ourselves. Kind of feel like we haven't lost any time, so it's good to just be able to be back together, kicking it, just doing what we love to do.
Do you have a point of emphasis to work on this offseason coming after year 2?
Yeah, I think, again, my biggest thing is always just consistency, trying to get more consistent from the year before. And when I look back at everything with the coaches, there's always a lot more I can do. So really just being consistent in my techniques, getting my win better, continue to find ways to be more available for the team, and just do as many things possible, just keep helping the team as much as possible.
Paris talked earlier just about how excited he is to get out on the field, wants to get on the field, but you can't do that quite yet with the coaches. Do you feel the same way, like you're just amped up, ready to get out there?
Yeah, man, it's time. Like, it's not, but it is, So everybody being in the building kind of lets you know, like, all right, it's coming. I feel like the clock kind of starts to really tick now, especially once the draft happens. I think that's when it really, like, all right, it's time to go. So I feel like everybody in the building's kind of on the same page, from staff to players, so I'm excited.
You were at the, go ahead there.
I was going to say, do you pay attention to the draft? Are you going to be watching to see who you get, who this team gets?
Yeah, I don't, not as much this year as I feel like probably last year, but I definitely try to pay attention just because, you want to know who's coming to the team to try to help, because especially this year, we're trying to take that next step. So all the guys we're bringing in, you're hoping that they're going to come in and provide that help.
There's a lot of conversation about whether this team could take a cornerback, and it seems like you guys have really addressed that quite a bit over the last couple of years, and your room is pretty full. Like, What's your thought about the idea that they could add somebody at your position?
Yeah, I mean, it's about winning. You know what I'm saying? Whatever they feel like helps us win the most, I think that's kind of just what it's going to be. And I don't, it doesn't really make me feel any type of way because we're all trying to win. That's our whole point of being here. And whoever that is, whether it's a corner, linebacker, D-line, whatever it is, I know they're going to be brought in to help. So.
You were at the Patrick Peterson retirement ceremony. How was it kind of learning about his tenure here, and also did it mean more you get to wear his number now going forward?
Yeah, that was an eye-opening. It was cool to see the staff, everybody here kind of embrace him, see all the great things he did for not only just like the team but in the community, because I didn't know about all the stuff that he did outside of just doing what he did on the field, and then just seeing how taking care of other people, showing love to other people really does matter. And that it spreads love, and I think that's why he was embraced so well this time. And just even seeing the number, again, seeing all the plays he made and stuff like that, it's cool. Just knowing that, that's what I wear. So it's cool. And he talked about setting the standard. That's something he felt like he did, setting the standard. And I really feel like he did. So it's definitely I kind of try to wear the number now more as like a a badge of honor, knowing that you're following behind greatness.
Next. Go ahead.
In your first full season last year, you were statistically one of the top cornerbacks. So having that new, standard or starting point for yourself, what have you been emphasizing this offseason?
Yeah, I'm kind of just staying focused on just the process because I think, having the season with all the things that people said and seeing from it, that wasn't really the whole goal of the year. It was more just trying to do better than I did the year before and improving at all the things I feel like I did or I could have improved previously. So same thing, just consistency and just building off of last year because I do feel like I did some really good things last year, and so now it's time to add even more on top of it and just keep adding more, just keep building.
What did you learn going through a full season that you couldn't learn your first year now?
Yeah, I was telling my dad this the other day. I feel like the person you are when you come into the beginning of the season is completely different than who you are at the end of the season, just because you deal with, it's like so many things that just happen in an 18-week, all the extra games and all that stuff. And I think it's just, I realized and learned a lot of just like resiliency and just like each week having to be able to just move on from good moments, bad moments, and just the next play mentality and just the idea of just that, one bad day, one bad play is not the end of the world, and that you just got to keep pushing with the right mindset, and that's going to carry you farther than, just being down about yourself.
Do you get the sense there's an excitement for this upcoming season with the guys that are in there now?
Yeah, I feel like every year I've been here, it's been a big sense of excitement because, I think everybody here loves ball. And so when you just keep adding guys who have that same mindset, and especially now having 3 years of kind of the staff kind of bringing in guys they feel like fits the mold, you definitely feel a little bit more of a more focused group too, even though it's only been one day. But, I feel like you get a sense of everybody's excited for the right reasons.
Coverage go together, so when this organization is making moves in free agency like Josh Sweat and Dalvin Tomlinson, from the rush perspective, what does that excite for you? What makes you excited from the coverage aspect of when you see what they're focused on in free agency?
Yeah, I love it. I think anybody in the secondary or defense in general loves it because we're bringing in guys who have really done it before, and especially like I know with Sweat having the history with JG and them, so it's just like bringing in guys who get it, and guys who produce. And then just as a secondary, our job is to continue to just do our part. We're going to try to do our part. We're bringing in guys with experience who understand what they're expected to do. And so I think having the leaders in the secondary, D-line and the backers, I think it's just going to all come together really well.
One of the stories from draft season is your notebook that you brought in on the interview, and you continue to add to. What's the status of that? How many have you gone through, or is it just one? Or?
I run through a lot of notebooks. Yeah, it's because I write everything down. It's just how I am. Even like if you come to my house, like all my weeks, my months are all planned, written on calendars, like written out. It's just kind of just how I've always done stuff since college. Just kind of helped me remember it. So yeah, I got a whole new one to start this phase one. So who knows how many I'm gonna go through this year.
Have you gotten to know any of those new guys in the room yet?
Not too much. It's first day, but we spend all this time together, especially from now till the end of the season. So I'm sure we're gonna get all real tight because even just from the first day, it meshes really well. You can tell everything clicks.
You know what the year 1 to year 2 jump is like. What is a guy like Max Melton or Elijah Jones going to learn about that year 1 to year 2 jump?
Yeah, They talk about the jump, and I get it because you see your first year, you kind of get it. But everything from making that leap from year one to year two, or really from any year, is all about just looking at what you did the year before and just what are you going to do to improve it, or what are you going to fix. And I think it all just comes down to just with anybody, you just got to be focused on what you're trying to improve on. And I feel like those two guys and all the guys in the secondary, really all the rookie guys, like they all understand that, and they're all really self-aware. So I have no doubts that they're going to make big leaps this upcoming year.
You talked about day one just a bit ago. You prepared for the next 8 to 9 weeks to get gauged up there and get ready for fall camp?
Yeah. I try to plan ahead of a lot of things, and so it is kind of a steady ramp up that you want to try to do, because you don't want to try to start off too fast, burn yourself out, but you want to just kind of gradually just keep getting better, keep getting stronger, faster, and then when it's time to go, it's time to go. So I'm excited.
Garrett, going back to the Pat P press conference, what made you want to be here?
What made me want to say that again? I'm sorry.
What made you want to be here for that?
Oh yeah, I mean, I just wanted to pay homage, and then just like it's it's Patrick Pearson. There's greatness in the league, so to be able to have a player like that who's played here and then have the opportunity to be, around, and somebody who's played, the same position, experienced similar kind of things, I'm trying to get to the level that he was at, and so being able to see that, how it closes out, and then kind of just as much as I can just hear him talk about his process and things like that, that's the type of stuff I'm trying to take away to just help myself.
Thanks, Garrett.
Thanks, Garrett.
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. I am. Yeah, I'm super excited about it.
What's it like being back in the building with everybody?
Feels good. Good. It's crazy how fast everything comes up because I can think back to my exact self this time a year ago and sitting in the meetings, kind of going through the same things. I can remember back to the thoughts and feelings I was having this time last year. So it kind of just reinforces the notion that the days are long, but the years go by fast, and that's, I think, every time you start a first day of something, it reminds you of that idea.
Football-wise, though, does that put you in a better place as a player, just having it kind of connect like that?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely does.
Is it fun to see all the guys in there I'm assuming you have a good turnout today for day one?
Yeah, first day is always fun. Everyone's always in a good mood. It's exciting when you haven't seen guys in 3-4 months. See how guys' bodies have changed, what they've done differently this offseason. A lot of new things to talk about: vacation, children, marriages, wives, girlfriends, all those things. So it's always fun the first day.
Is there anyone in particular whose body looks different to you, Michael?
Marvin looked like he got a little bigger. Not bigger, but like muscle bigger. But I mean, guys look chiseled up, and everyone looks good.
You talked about day one, Michael. Is it knowing that there's 8 to 9 weeks ahead of you here? Is it you have to gauge your mind for that we're going to be here for a few weeks?
I guess, I mean, yeah, I think so. It's really just taking it one day at a time. I'm just excited to be present in the here and now. Now day one, we finished day one. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. I try to not let my mind think about, weeks down the line. It's more so what's the next day going to look like.
With the NFL draft coming up, what memories does that bring back for you? And, what's it like for these kids coming up where the dream will come true when they hear their name called?
Yeah, it's a special week for sure. Crazy that I'm now 2 years removed from getting drafted. But I remember, Tuesday when and the draft was going to start on Thursday, and I'm calling my agent. My agent's calling me, talking about, okay, we think you're going to go best case from pick 75 to worst case, maybe in the 5th round. And then scheduling things with family can be a little bit difficult because I didn't want to have a big party on Friday night and then not get drafted because it feels embarrassing. It's not embarrassing, but when family and friends show up and you have 50 people at your house and you don't hear your name get called, it's upsetting. Sure. So I kept it real small on Friday, knowing that there was a chance I could go. But also, if I didn't go, at least it was just close, extremely close family and friends that would be there to support me if I didn't. But then, yeah, getting the call is definitely it's a life-changing moment, and honestly, one of if not the greatest feeling of my life in that moment. I'll forever be indebted to the Cardinals organization and Monti for changing my life that day. But I'm so excited for guys that are going to hear their name called because it's a feeling that you can never experience again. But also, I got a couple buddies out there that are on the fringe of not getting drafted I know that can be tough as well because I had some buddies at Stanford that didn't get drafted and it was heartbreaking for them. So, yeah, it's a lot of emotions, but it is a special week for sure.
Does it feel like you're entering year 3? Does that feel right to you?
No, it honestly doesn't. It honestly doesn't. It's, like I said, it's kind of the first thing we talked about is it's crazy how fast time goes by. And I think it's just important, for everyone in the building just to cherish the memories that we have and cherish the moments we have because the moments are fleeting. And I think as you start to stack years, you start to realize how fleeting these times are. And I think now I just need to do a better job, I think, of this year of embracing the good times, the bad times, and just being in the present, being thankful for where I am.
So all signs are kind of pointing towards you guys.
What would you say would be your biggest takeaway, on the NFL game, from when you were drafted to now 2 years in? If a rookie asked you for advice, what's it all about? What would you tell him?
I would say just the attention to detail. And I ran routes. I was training in Southern California for 6 weeks, so I spent some time with guys that are going through their pro day and combine training program at that time, and they would always ask me that question. And I would say just the attention to detail in the NFL is exponentially greater than it is in college. Like everyone's doing the little things, and if you can find one thing, even if it's going to make a 0.1% difference in your game, like you better be doing everything you can to maximize that bucket, because guys in the league are so talented. Everyone's on the details. Like most corners in the league now are 6 feet that run 4.3 that are 200 pounds. So what do you like? What's you're not going to have probably any physical advantage. So it's going to come from the mental side of the game, or just doing little things here and there. But yeah, just the attention to detail is exceptional in the NFL.
Where do you want to take a step this coming season? What's your focus on this coming year?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. I think for me, it's really all about, I just want to produce more. And producing more for a receiver obviously looks like catches and touchdowns and yards, but honestly, I really think that's a big goal for me, is I want to show up more on the stat sheet and produce more from a numbers standpoint. Because I know the talent's there. It's just about putting everything together and showing up on Sunday.
When we talked to you at the end of last season, you and Drew Petzing and Drew Trell, you guys would all talk about how well you had played throughout the season, despite what those numbers might have said.
For sure.
How do you kind of balance that, where you felt like you did play well, but at the same time, maybe the numbers weren't quite where you wanted them to be personally?
Yeah, I think that just kind of speaks to the receiver position as a whole and in its entirety. Is I think receiver it's a tough position, because a lot of the success you have can be or sometimes is perceived success. And so what I mean by that is, and our receiver coach does a good job articulating this to us, but you could have a great game on tape and have 10 yards. And to a fan base or to people, sort of the untrained eye, just watching the game, if you see a receiver who plays 90% of the snaps with 10 yards, like you would think that's a bad game. But you can also have 100 yards and not have that good of a game. It's just some of the catches you had were explosives against zone, and you just got to a throwing spot and made a catch. And so being comfortable and confident week in and week out, knowing that eventually the numbers will show up, I think is an important asset, an aspect that you need to have to be a really good receiver. But yeah, to your point, I thought I played well this year, but I mean last year. But it's, to me, I want to show up more on the stat sheet and produce more for the organization.
Are you able to block out kind of either what people are saying or the perception that you didn't have a good game, but you really did have a good game? Like, are you able to kind of handle that in your head?
Yeah, I think, but also at the same time, I'm my own biggest critic. And so a lot of times family will tell me or coaches will tell me this was a good route or I played well. And no one's opinion of myself is ever going to change how I view myself. Like, if I didn't think I played well and people are telling me I played well, whatever I think about my own self is not going to change based on somebody else most of the time. And so, yeah, like when you ask the question about if what people say change how I feel, it really doesn't, because I'm my toughest critic. And so if people say, oh, Mike had 14 yards, he didn't play well, I've already formulated my own opinions. I'm very self-aware, and I've already dissected and watched the game 10 times. So like their untrained opinion of myself is not going to change, because I promise you, however tough somebody can be on me, I'm probably 100 times more critical of myself.
That being said, how much more comfortable are you now with Petzing's offense, and how much does that free you up to just be your best?
Yeah, for sure. Comfortability, I mean, there's a big jump from year 1 to year 2, so I expect that same jump to happen from year 2 to year 3. It's just when you're in a system for, a given amount of time, and that time keeps increasing, naturally, if you're doing things the right way, you should become better within the system. You should become more comfortable and more confident. So I'm just going to continue what I did last year and dial down, turn it up a notch, and yeah, I'll be more confident for sure.
You've talked about your hunger for winning.
Yeah.
Considering how this past season ended, how much does that fuel you as you go into year number 3, knowing how you guys are doing prior to the bye and then afterwards?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think knowing that my first year we won 4 games, my second year we won 8, so we were able to double our wins in a year. And there's times when I look back at the tape last year and it's like we weren't far away. We could have, in my opinion, we should have won the division. And it was at a point after the bye where we controlled our own destiny. So it was frustrating that it wasn't somebody else that beat us, like we beat ourselves because we were in the first place. We had sole possession of the division lead and we let it slip through our fingers. So I think there's a couple things that late in the season we need to focus on and make sure we're dialed in and I see that we'll be able to accomplish what we set out to do.
What was it like seeing Trey McBride become the highest paid tight end?
Exciting, for sure. Yeah, he's definitely a guy that deserves everything he has and more. I couldn't say a single bad thing about the person he is, which makes it more special when someone does get, when someone earns something of that magnitude, because you know the type of character that he has. And he works hard every day. He's an exceptional person. He's really a team-first guy, and obviously he's probably the best. He's definitely the best tight end in the NFL. So it's super exciting to see.
What are the Cardinals getting in one of your Stanford guys in Simi Fehoko?
What are they getting, Simi? We're getting a guy that is, he's really talented, ultra talented. He ran 10.5 in high school, 100-meter. So he's a big guy that can run. He was a 5th-round draft pick to the Cowboys. I think in college he set the all-time record, which had just been broken by Ellick, who's in the draft now. He had 230 yards against UCLA, but just the guy that can play all 4 special teams. He can block, he can catch the ball, he can run routes. He's just a solid player.
Were you excited when you got the notification, seeing that he's coming here?
Yeah, I think it's crazy. We're all in the group chat, and the fact that myself, Simi, and Elijah are all playing on the same team, and we're in the same position room. How common? One of you guys will have to do a fact check of how common that is. That 3 guys in the same position room end up playing for the same team in the NFL. I don't think that's common at all. But yeah, I'm excited.
You were talking a second ago about the sting of kind of how the second half of the season went.
Yeah.
When you're going through the grind of the offseason work, how often or how much are you thinking about kind of how that ended as almost a thing to fuel you?
Yeah, I think honestly it fuels me every day, because I think I have this weird thing in my head where it's I feel like if I cheat a rep, then that's going to cost me late in the season. Or if I don't run this last route, then for some reason in week 16 I'm not going to make a play, and it's going to correlate back to me, skipping this rep or cheating myself on a meal or cheating myself on a rep. And so I think that self-accountability I think most professional athletes have that, is we understand that you can't cheapen the work because you never know when that work is going to come back to bite you. And it could be in a critical situation on 4th and 3. And, Kyler needs me to get open, and I'm not able to be open, then we lose the game and don't make the playoffs. But I could have prevented that had I trained a little bit harder in the offseason. So that's constantly my mindset throughout all of the offseason.
Last offseason, there was a big group that seemed to be working out all over the place together.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys have still done this offseason?
Yeah, and it's going to continue for sure. Yeah, so we expect to, we'll probably start that this weekend, honestly, or continue that this weekend.
What's the conversations been like with those off-campus workouts? Anything different or just business as usual?
Pretty business as usual. I think just finding ways to also just not talk about football 24/7 to strengthen our bond off the field. But yeah, we've got like we did last year, we have a good group this year, good guys, and everyone's willing to work. So it's fun. It truly is fun showing up in this building because of the position room I get to do it with, and obviously with Kyler and Clayton, and I'm excited to meet Jacoby too in the future.
How exciting is it to kind of know, like what you said, kind of improve the win total every year you've been here, and knowing like if you guys continue on that trend,
Yeah.
in the playoffs?
Yeah, for sure. I think now knowing when I said that, that's no guarantees that obviously it's going to double again this year. I mean, we'd love to do that, but we have to go out and earn it. But I think that we're on a good trend, and knowing that what we did last year was improvement from year one, and so if we build on that, then we should have the results that we want.
If you double the win total, you're going to be the story of the NFL.
Yeah, that is true. That would be lovely.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, man.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.